basement of their Detroit duplex was Archie's bunker, a cave of flickering light and stale air where time dissolved into the hum of his PlayStation. At 19, he'd been racing virtual cars since he was 8, when his mom, Linda, surprised him with a force feedback steering wheel she'd saved up for, her smile bright despite the chemo shadows under her eyes. Now that wheel, scratched, its leather grip peeling, was his tether to Gran Turismo, a world of pixel-perfect tracks where he reigned untouchable. Top 50 globally, a rank he'd refresh daily on the leaderboards. His name glowing in green, Archie Drift King. Tonight the screen blazed with Monaco's hairpin turns, the Ferrari FXXK hugging the apex as his fingers danced on the controller, precision honed to a razor's edge. Upstairs, the floorboards groaned under his dad's heavy tread. "Archie, you still glued to that damn game?" Martin's voice sliced through the digital snarl of engines, sharp as the steel he hauled daily. 50 years old, his spine crooked from decades at the plant, he filled the doorway, grease-stained jacket slung over one shoulder, a silhouette of exhaustion. "It's 10 at night. You've been at it since dawn, 12 hours straight." "It's not a waste, Dad," Archie fired back, eyes locked on the screen, nudging the throttle through a chicane. "I'm one of the best in the world at this." Martin snorted, kicking an empty Mountain Dew can across the cluttered floor. It clattered against a pile of chip bags, tangled controller cords, and a half-eaten pizza box, a monument to Archie's marathon sessions. "Last I checked, video games don't pay bills. Clean this mess up. You're coming to work with me tomorrow, 6 sharp. No excuses." Archie's jaw clenched, teeth grinding as he pulled off a drift that'd make a pro sweat. Yeah, whatever. He'd heard the sermon 1,000 times. Games were a kid's toy, a dead-end distraction. But Martin didn't see it. Out there, people turned virtual laps into real cash. Esports pros banking 6 figures, streamers with sponsor deals, kids his age living off pixels. He'd scrolled through posts online. One guy swore simulators were so real you could feel the G-forces through your chair, the car's soul pulsing in your hands. Archie felt it too, every time he shaved a tenth off his lap time, the wheel bucking like a living thing. Another post had scoffed, "Games bred reckless drivers, not skill." Archie knew better. This wasn't just play. It was his proving ground. Martin trudged upstairs, muttering about hard work and wasted youth. Archie finished the race, first place, 1:32.847, a personal best, and slumped back in his creaky chair, staring at the water-stained ceiling. His dad wasn't wrong about one thing, the bills. 2 years ago, Linda's cancer had eaten her alive, a slow bleed of hope despite every treatment Martin threw money at. Chemo, radiation, experimental drugs that cost more than their mortgage. When she passed, the hospital bills crashed in like a tidal wave, funeral costs piling on top. Martin never spoke of it, but Archie caught the signs. Late-night phone calls, low voices seeping through the walls, threats hissed in the dark. Debt was a specter haunting their home, damp rot creeping into every corner. Morning broke gray and cold, the alarm blaring at 5:30. Archie dragged himself upstairs, bleary-eyed, to find Martin already at the kitchen table, coffee steaming in a chipped mug. "Get dressed," Martin said, not looking up. "Plant's waiting." The steel plant was a beast, a cavernous maze of clanging metal, hissing hydraulics, and air thick with oil and rust. Martin handed him a wrench, its weight unfamiliar in hands used to controllers. "This is real work, son, not button mashing. Watch me. Tighten those bolts on the conveyor line." Archie fumbled through the morning, sweat stinging his eyes, the wrench slipping in his grip. Every clang echoed Martin's words. Games don't pay bills. Halfway through the shift, trouble ambushed them at the loading dock. 2 guys in leather jackets cut through the noise, one wiry, a scar slicing his eyebrow like a lightning bolt, the other a hulking brute, knuckles scarred and thick. Scarface leaned in, breath sour with cigarettes. "Martin, where's our $5,000? Wednesday's today, pal." Martin's voice cracked, sweat beading on his forehead despite the chill. "I'll have it by tonight, 6 o'clock. I swear." Brute stepped closer, cracking his knuckles with a sound like breaking twigs. 6 sharp, or I carve you up right here. Kid gets a front row seat." He jerked his chin at Archie, who froze, the wrench suddenly a lifeline in his sweaty palm. The goons swaggered off, their boots echoing on concrete, and Martin waved it away, lighting a cigarette with trembling hands. "Nothing, Archie. Don't worry about it." But his eyes darted, betraying the lie. I brought you here so you'd see this is your life if you don't get serious. Games won't dodge scum like that. Archie stared after them, the wrench heavy. People make money gaming, Dad. It's not some lottery ticket. Martin exhaled a plume of smoke, eyes hard as flint. Sure, and people win the Powerball. Doesn't mean it's a plan. I just want better for you. More than a bad back and debts at 50 scrambling to keep the lights on. Back home, the duplex felt smaller, walls closing in. Archie's phone buzzed, cutting through the silence. Randy, his lanky buddy with a mop of red hair, nosing around Archie's room. Dude, I fired up your PlayStation. What's this? Ford Motors qualifying race invite? Says you've got 30 seconds to accept. Archie bolted upstairs, shoving Randy off the gaming chair. The screen glowed with an email. Ford, inspired by Nissan's GT Academy, was scouting Gran Turismo pros for a real-world shot. Top qualifiers raced at Michigan International Speedway, a 1.39-mile road course of brutal turns and screaming straights. Winner got a pro contract, $100,000 bonus. Countdown ticked, 15 seconds. This real? Archie breathed, pulse hammering. Hit accept, man! Randy yelled, practically bouncing. Archie smashed the button with 2 seconds left, the confirmation flashing green. No prank, dude, you're in. Martin's voice bellowed from the kitchen. Archie, dinner's on, get in here. But Archie was already lost, diving into practice mode. This wasn't just a game anymore. Michigan was real. 1,400 acres of asphalt and history, a track he'd lapped virtually 1,000 times. He pulled up the course on his screen, studying Turn 12's nasty left-hand kink, the long back straight where downforce mattered. Every reflex he'd built since 8 was about to be tested. 2 weeks later, they landed in Michigan, the plane's rumble still in Archie's bones. Martin tagged along, skeptical but curious, muttering about wasting plane tickets as they stepped into the crisp March air. The speedway sprawled ahead, grandstands glinting like steel teeth in the sun, a coliseum of speed. Archie met Carter, Ford's marketing head, a sharp guy in a blazer, mid-30s, with a handshake firm enough to mean business. You're the gamer, huh? That qualifying lap, 133.2 on Monaco, was insane, fastest we've seen. Now meet your competition. Victor Hayes stepped forward, tall, grizzled, a NASCAR vet with a smirk that could cut glass. His salt and pepper hair peeked from under a cap, and his eyes sized Archie up like prey. Kid thinks he can hang with me? Cute. Archie swallowed hard. Hayes was a legend, a name he'd unlocked in Gran Turismo 3 as a kid, racking up virtual wins. Now he was flesh and blood, a wall of experience ready to crush him. They led Archie to the pit where a Ford GT waited. A late-model stock car, 700 horsepower coiled under its hood, matte black with red racing stripes. The safety briefing blurred past, helmet snug, harness cinched, don't panic if you spin, ease off the gas. On the practice lap, the wheel came alive, vibrating like his old setup but heavier, rawer, the G-forces pressing him into the seat. He nailed turn 1, muscle memory from virtual Monaco kicking in, brake late, turn in smooth, throttle out clean. Carter whistled from the pit wall. Kid's got lines like a pro, natural. Hayes watched from the sidelines, arms crossed, his smirk fading a fraction. Martin lingered by the fence, hands shoved in his pockets, his silence louder than any lecture. Archie ran 3 more laps, shaving seconds, 135.6, 134.9, feeling the car's limits, the tires' grip, the way the wind howled past at 150 miles per hour. He flashed back to a post he'd seen. Someone claiming sims were the future, training drivers better than any school. Another had laughed. Real racing was grit, not joysticks. Archie was about to find out. Race day dawned cold, frost glittering on the grass, breath fogging in the air. The grandstands buzzed with a small crowd, Ford execs, local gearheads, a few reporters sniffing a story. Martin stood by the fence, arms crossed, his face a mask of doubt and hope. Archie lined up on the grid, Hayes beside him, the GT's engines snarling like chained beasts. The green flag dropped and they tore off, tires screaming on asphalt. Hayes took the lead, his experience carving a perfect line through turn 2. Archie hung tight, drafting inches off Hayes' bumper, the slipstream pulling him along. A trick he'd mastered in-game against AI packs. Lap 3, the GT's grip faltered. Tires overheating, rubber peeling off in chunks. A glitch he'd seen in Gran Turismo's endurance mode. He eased off the throttle, managing wear like he'd done virtually 1,000 times, letting Hayes pull ahead but keeping him in sight. The crowd murmured, tension building. Carter paced the pit, muttering into a headset. Martin's fists clenched on the fence. Lap 5, Archie closed the gap, tires cooling, grip returning. He remembered a post, someone hyping how sim racers adapted fast, reflexes like lightning. Hayes didn't have that. He had years, not instincts honed on a screen. Final lap, neck and neck, the speedway a blur of gray and green. Turn 12 loomed, a nasty left-hander, camber dropping away. Archie saw it. Hayes braking late, too aggressive, tires squealing as he fought oversteer. Archie feinted right, then dove inside, a move he'd perfected against AI ghosts at 2 a.m. The GT's nose edged ahead, the finish line rushing up. He crossed it, a hair ahead, half a car length, the crowd erupting. "Kid's unreal!" Carter shouted, clapping Martin's shoulder hard enough to jolt him. Archie climbed out, legs trembling like jelly, helmet off, sweat plastering his hair. He met his dad's eyes. Martin's face cracked into a grin, rare and raw. "You did it, son." Richard Miles, Ford's CEO, silver hair, suit crisp despite the wind, strode over, a contract in hand. "First real race and you beat Hayes? Sign here. 100,000 bonus, full pro deal. We'll make you a star, kid." Archie took the pen, ink cold against his fingers, then paused. He tore off the check, zeros glaring in the sunlight, and handed it to Martin. "Pay those guys off, Dad. Games just paid the bills." Martin stared at it, hands shaking, voice thick as gravel. "Love you, son. So damn proud." He pulled Archie into a hug, the first in years, rough and tight. Later, Archie slumped in the hotel room, phone buzzing with notifications. He posted a blurry victory shot, him in the GT, helmet under one arm, Michigan's grandstands behind. "To all the doubters, this is for you." Comments flooded in, some guy crowing Sims were the future, another insisting real racing still ruled, a third mocking the controller kid who'd never last. Archie didn't care. He'd proved it. Asphalt under his wheels, not just pixels. Back in Detroit, dusk painted the duplex in shadow. The goons waited by the curb, Scarface tapping a knife on his palm. Martin stepped out, jaw set, and tossed the cash. $5,000, crisp from the bank. "Don't chase us again, we're done." They slunk off, tails tucked, and Martin turned to Archie, a ghost of a smile breaking through. "So you gonna teach me to race now?" Archie laughed, the weight lifting off his chest. "Yeah, Dad?" "Basics first. Braking zones, apexes. We'll get you drifting by next week." Martin chuckled, a rare sound, and clapped Archie's shoulder. "Guess those games paid off after all."